Well, if we just wanted to continue the Taylor Swift bread related pun theme for the title of the episode, I've got a whole list of them here. The bun, the last great American pastry, that one's not very
Mm,
good.
mhm.
Dynasty, Midnight Grain, I like that one.
I also
Uh,
came up with Midnight Grain
that's perfect. That's
independently of
good.
you.
So Rice School,
Oh
Clara
yeah.
Dough,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
How
Holla
about
Too Well, 10 minute
about
version.
this? Oh, Holla too well. Yeah, yeah. There you go. How about the starcher?
Oh yeah, okay.
You need to calm down with the K.
That's pretty good.
You belong with Bree
Okay.
and bake it off.
Oh, bake it off. I like that.
Yeah,
What
there
do you
you
think about whole grain problems? Hmm?
go. Yeah, all right, not bad, not bad.
Ready for it?
Ready for it, yeah.
Now, that's a little bit played out though, because obviously they just did that on their
Yeah.
podcast. So we could transition it into maybe like more of like a Chiefs theme. I got a Holla 22. That's kind of more generic. It's always sunny
All
in Yeast
22.
Kingdom.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Red
yeah, that's
Scone
pretty good.
offense. Okay.
Which
Uh,
one? What was that?
Red Scone
Red
offense.
Scone offense. I had Chris
Uh,
Scones,
Janon Taylor.
Janon, Yeast Holmes, Rasheed Slice.
Sure, yeah, those are good.
Uh,
GEHA Field at Apple Bread Stadium.
well, just about arrow bread. I mean, it's bread, yeah. Big bread, big bread.
Oh, that's good.
Uh-huh.
Sure, that's an easy one.
But of course, we also have to fold in our favorite show. It's always sunny. Crumb
Yes.
ham,
Oh, crumb ham. Incredible.
flour, Flour for Charlie instead of flowers.
Yeah, that's good.
Or you could call him Barley Kelly
Barley Kelly.
or Wheat D. We got all kinds of good options here.
Wheat. Incredible.
I think the one I like the most is Bread Kingdom. Bread Kingdom.
Welcome into It's Always Sunny in Chiefs Kingdom. I'm Austin. Find me on X at Real Bird Lawyer, bird law expert on Blue Sky. Here with me, as always, my co-host Taylor Witt at Taylor_Witt on Twitter. Second most famous podcasting Taylor of the week, IASIC on Sky, IASICK. What's going on, buddy?
It's the Taylor episode, of course. Yeah, no, that was pretty fun. I am fired up. We have a lot of good Chiefs content, good stuff going on this week. It's football's right around the corner, man. 3 weeks from tonight is the NFL opening night kickoff,
Mm,
and
mm,
that's close. That's
hmm.
like here, basically.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Quick little housekeeping bit, just in case anyone wanted to reach out to us, as we mentioned last week. We have an email address also, other than our Twitter accounts. Don't DM Austin, he'll never hear it. But you could DM me on Twitter, Taylor_Witt, or you could send me an email to it's always sunny in Chiefs Kingdom at gmail.com. You can also, in that email or in a DM, you can ask to join our Discord server. We have a lot of great Chiefs discussions and content over there. I know everybody that participates over there seems to have a pretty good time. And finally, if you wouldn't mind, rate and review. A lot of people beg that every single time. We don't really push the rates and reviews that often, but we also don't have any ads on the show. We need your validation somehow.
I'm good. I am so. How are you feeling about all of what I'm doing? Did you like that? Did you think that was good? Tell me I'm good. Tell me it was good. Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm good. Tell me that was good. Tell me I'm 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 good. Thank you. Is it that hard?
We got a great episode for you guys today. We've got news, and there's a lot of news to cover. We've got preseason game one recap. And yeah, I get it. Look, we mailed in the preview a little bit. How can you really preview a preseason game? But the takeaways from this game are really interesting. I can't wait to discuss that with you. And then we've got another, phone in preview, Chiefs and Seahawks preseason week 2. It is what it is. But first, let's kick it off with Christian Fulton returns in injury news the day after I spoke it into existence on last
He did
week's
great.
pod.
Yeah.
I wanted him to play in the game. I knew he wasn't going to play in the game, but I said if I say I want to see him play in the game on Saturday, maybe he will at least come back to practice. And the very next day, there he was. He is back. He's working his way into form. Unclear yet whether he's going to be ready for week 1, but I mean, we've got 3 weeks to go. He certainly has some time to work his way back. Speaking of working his way back, Hollywood Brown, obviously with that ankle injury that he's suffered during camp, he's working his way back from that. Obviously has had ankle injuries in his career. He's not going to play this week against Seattle, but he is getting some work in. He's back out on the practice field and at least running and doing all the little workout stuff that he's going to do, but he's not going to play in Seattle. Kareem Hunt has a quad contusion. It looks like he will also miss tomorrow night's game in Seattle, but overall, the injury news is fairly positive, I would say.
Yeah, it's fine. It's certainly not devastating at any position or any, I mean, a lot of teams around the NFL are already looking around and saying, oh my God, it's barely week 2 of the preseason. We've already lost X, Y, and Z. We've talked about the Chargers and Rashawn Slater. I mean, hell, the Eagles and Landon Dickerson, he got hurt. I believe there was another pretty significant line injury. Garrett Bowles. I haven't heard
what happened with him.
I saw he went off in the cart today in Broncos practice.
He had some asthma, so he's going to be fine.
That's fine.
Yeah,
But it's already kind of been the NFL, and there have already kind of been some injuries and some guys that are expected to do big things that are hurt now. So for the Chiefs, I was very excited to see Fulton because that also is a good indicator that he'll be ready, basically by the start of the year because he's already practicing and stuff. So I wasn't really sure if he was kind of, what his status would be for week 1, but he's certainly trending in the right direction. A guy that's not trending in the right direction is Hollywood Brown. And I mean that in the big picture and the small picture. Is this guy ever going to play football? Like, it sucks for him. I mean,
yeah, it does.
He's a great talent and he's fast and he's on a team that should be able to utilize his talents. And I just feel bad for him. He just can't seem to get himself into football shape very often.
Yeah, and he's a guy too that, with wide receivers, you want to cash in on your big payday and you want to have a great season going into free agency. And the only reason he's back with the Chiefs is because he got hurt last year and he didn't put out a full season of tape and he didn't have the opportunity to go off like we hoped he would. And we hope he still will this year. Correct. But boy, he's going to have to get that ankle right. And I would imagine he's not going to play this week. And I'm certain that he will not play in preseason game 3 either. So hopefully we'll see him in week 1. Another player that we might be seeing in week 1, after all, is Rashee Rice. Chiefs wide receiver will meet with NFL disciplinary officers on September 30th, and no suspension is expected to be imposed before then. Now, that is if Rashee follows the normal disciplinary process and waits for the NFL to come to him with their punishment and just to pronounce a sentence. But the way the NFL's disciplinary process works is a little bit odd. Like Rashee could go to them before September 30th and they could work out some sort of deal, like essentially like a plea deal where he's going to be suspended for X number of games. He's not going to appeal. And then he'll be able to start serving his suspension right away. I suspect, given this news leaking and the timing of this meeting taking place on September 30th, I suspect that is not going to happen with Rashee. And I suspect that this is a deliberate attempt by Rashee and the Chiefs front office to forestall Rashee Rice's suspension until a later date. Now, the first 4 games of the season, which would be the games that we're going to play before September 30th, at Chargers in Brazil, a divisional game. You've got the Eagles at home in week 2. You've got at the Giants, and then you've got the Ravens at home in week 4. Those are all, except for the Giants, hard and important games. Mm-hmm. But we gotta push back against the conspiracy talk here because if he goes into the NFL office on September 30th and says, "Hit me with the suspension, I'm going to start serving it in week 5," well, there's no soft spots in the schedule, right? Like week 5 is a gimme, but then after that,
I don't know. At Jags, you think that's a gimme? Jags are a little feisty. It's a road game. Look,
yeah, it's fair. It's a road game in Jacksonville in September. Or late September, beginning of October.
Probably like the 4th or so easiest game on the schedule.
One of the easiest games on the schedule.
It is.
But
it is.
Right after that,
Yeah.
Lions, Raiders, Commanders, Bills. I mean, the Raiders might not be that
Broncos.
good, but they might be. And then, yeah, sure, right after that, Broncos, Colts, Cowboys, Texans. I
Yeah.
mean, Broncos, Colts, Cowboys, Texans. That's probably the softest 4 game stretch in there, maybe.
With
But I
2
mean,
road
like,
games, including
you've
at the
got you've
Broncos, who
got
could have the
an
best defense in the
AFC,
NFL.
2 AFC playoff teams in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Texans, Broncos, and then the Colts were not that great, but you got the Cowboys when Dak is healthy, they're pretty good.
On
Uh,
Thanksgiving, I mean, that's a
yeah, right, sure. I
massive
mean,
game.
that's their Super Bowl, literally.
Yes, sure.
The last 4 games are really soft, but like there's almost no way it's going to get
The
dragged out
last
that
4 games
far.
have
I
3
mean,
divisional opponents. This is
I
supposed to be
know
the best division in football.
it's
And we're
ridiculous. The point
Chargers,
is,
Titans, Broncos, Raiders. I mean, look, you're right. There is no break, and there's nowhere. I said today on Twitter, you can close your eyes and throw a dart at the Chiefs schedule and hit, oh my God, I can't believe he's going to be available for those games. I mean, it's
right, right,
the
absolutely you can.
conspiracy wrote itself before the season even started because that's all these people want to do. But there's also the fact that the arbiter, that their arbitrator or arbiter, what's the right word there?
Arbitrator,
Arbitrator, I
arbitrator.
believe. Arbiter is like
Yes,
a slightly different.
it's like a unit in StarCraft.
That's what I was
In
thinking of
StarCraft
too.
One,
Yeah, yeah.
the
But
arbitrator.
the
Yeah,
the A word person is like they're a judge outside of the NFL. They're a third party independent, person. The same woman who did the Deshaun Watson case, and they're like she already has a schedule. She can't just push everything aside to see Rashee Rice. The reason that it's been kicked out to September 30th is because she needs to make time in her schedule to see him. So I didn't know that until I was reading that today,
sure.
that's one of the reasons why the timing is what it is. It's not up to the NFL. Raj didn't say, let's kick it to late September. I'm sure everyone will love that. It's because that's how it happens.
Warp field stabilized. That's
There
the
you go.
arbiter.
I love the Arbiter.
Anyway, the Arbiter's a fun unit. Protoss, StarCraft One. We love that. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's. I do think that the timing of this is like he could be making a more concerted effort to get this done faster. Like, I think if he was going to New York tomorrow to just hammer something out, we probably would have heard about that. And it seems like maybe his intention is to wait until September 30th. And those games are important. I mean, those
Yeah.
games are important. But,
Yeah.
From the Chiefs' perspective, while the Eagles is obviously a huge game from an emotional standpoint,
It's an
it's not
NFC
that important in the
advantage.
stand. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that important in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how important the Chiefs consider AFC games and divisional games relative to the NFC. And I mean, it's the Eagles. Andy has a history there. I get that, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's some signs pointing towards it maybe being a plan, a design on the part of the Chiefs. On the other hand, you can certainly make arguments to the contrary. The other interesting wrinkle that this puts into the Chiefs is the roster. I mean, we were operating last week when we were making our roster predictions under the assumption that Rashee Rice would be suspended in week 1,
Mm-hmm.
which would theoretically open up another spot for a wide receiver at the back end of the roster. Whoever makes it after Rashee, Hollywood, assuming Hollywood's healthy, knock on
Mm-hmm.
wood,
Yeah, they could
Xavier
IR
Worthy,
him.
Jalen
Take care of that
Royals,
problem.
and Juju Smith-Schuster.
Mm-hmm.
After that, the sixth guy, there were going to be 2 spots. And now
Miho
there's,
Remigio,
right, Niho, Remigio, Tyquan Thornton. You've got
Jason
Jason Brownlee.
Brownlee. Uh-huh.
Sure, Jason Brownlee. You've got now for sure at least 3 guys competing for maybe 1 spot.
Mm-hmm.
And talented guys that we know. I mean, we know Dave Tobe loves Niho Remigio.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Tyquan Thornton's been getting a lot of buzz in camp. Jason Brownlee popped, and his playing time would suggest that he's somebody the Chiefs are maybe
Interested
considering. Yeah, exactly. We'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about him more in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really interesting if Rashee is on the roster in week 1, which it certainly looks like he will be at this point. It's going to be a much more interesting battle than it was when we thought he might be suspended.
Completely agreed. And I think that those fringy wide receiver guys, a lot of those are like your return specialist type of players, especially
Right.
Remigio. I'm thinking of Remigio first and foremost. I think his
But
spot,
also Thornton.
Those are the 2 guys that I think have the inside track for wide receiver 6 right now. And if Rice wasn't there, I think there's a pretty good chance that both of them would have made the opening day roster. And unless they IR Hollywood, which we'll see, then it's probably down to which one of those 2 looks better on offense or sorry, not on offense, because we need the returner. Because if Rice
Right.
was out, what I was trying to say is if Rice was out, you need their contribution on offense a little bit more. So you probably would lean to the guy that, you
Sure.
could actually put in the game and feel good about. But with Rice in there, your receivers are deep enough now that you probably are looking at the best return guy, and that's probably Remigio. So I think Tyquan Thornton is probably going to go the way of a lot of the other past kind of camp darling wide receivers that probably isn't going to end up making the 53. Maybe goes and catches on with another roster. I don't know. We'll see. If there's still a couple of interesting games to go.
All right. Well, we have to talk about the podcasting event of the millennium. I mean, podcasts
The
haven't been around that
universe.
long. I mean, the greatest podcasting event of all time.
Yeah.
Of course, Taylor Swift joining Travis and Jason on New Heights for at last I checked, and this was a couple of hours ago, it was up to 13 million views, 1.3 million concurrent live viewers. It's going to
Couple
shatter
13s in there.
every podcasting. Yeah, exactly. Numerology, man. It's going to shatter every podcasting record in the books. And it was an incredibly interesting and funny interview. And if you are a person that listens to this podcast and somehow still is not into the whole Taylor Swift thing, I would very strongly encourage you to go and listen or watch to that podcast because the first thing I just want to discuss this with you on the air. We've spoken about it a little bit off the air. We were texting
At
during
length.
at length, but I mean, I think the thing that is most striking about it is how normal two people who are amongst the most famous people in their respective professions, and in Taylor's case, in any profession, sitting down to have a conversation with Jason Kelsey, who's also very famous in his own right, in part because he's connected to Travis and Taylor, obviously, but and future NFL Hall of Famer, TV
Yeah.
personality,
Yeah.
and how normal their conversation was, and how I came away from that thinking that, like, if I ran into Taylor Swift on the street and she wasn't surrounded by security or whatever, like I could just have a normal conversation with her or whatever and shoot the shit. And it was a really remarkable interview in so many ways. But I want to hear your biggest takeaway from it. What struck you about it? What gripped you?
Well, I do want to just kind of address the first thing you said about if you're not either a fan of her or interested in her or have anything to do, if you're not just part of that world yet and you've been resisting it or you whatever. The point is this podcast, specifically the New Heights interview, was a great just a tear down of all the other extra bullshit. Take it away. Take away all the glitz and glam and hype and fame and all that stuff and just hear who she is as a person. Just hear a conversation, a full length conversation about things that are important to her and about her life experiences and stuff like that. And I just think that if you're a normal person, if you have empathy towards others, and if you kind of are able to socialize, you can see that exactly what you said. She's just a normal person, and it's actually pretty remarkable that she's a normal person.
Right.
It's such a feature, not a bug of her, for it to be for how relatable she is. And I think that's one of the reasons that she is the most famous person in the world, or up there, is because when her music fans or her anybody who kind of observes her, you kind of just get a sense of who she is, and it seems like a very genuinely great person. So, I mean, my biggest takeaway as someone that I got into the Taylor Swift game, fairly late, but before the Chiefs actually, which is a little surprise among, a lot of other people, kind of started watching her concert videos and listening to her music about the summer before this all went down, kind of around the same time that Trav went to the Eras Tour. And what I, find most fascinating about her is that she has felt, I guess maybe not fascinating, it's kind of sad that she has felt such a microscope on her life and her social life and the way that she does her business, that she's been shy or afraid or whatever you want to say to do long form, relaxed, sit down interviews like this, because it always invites a ton of criticism, and she is never really with a team or people that ask her the right, like, make her feel comfortable and all that stuff. So all that's to say that the majority comment that I saw on YouTube after this from people that are obsessed with it, way, way,
Mhm.
way more than you and I are, is about how this is the type of thing that this is like the greatest gift they could have gotten, was just a long form conversation with her, because they haven't had that in forever, and that's really cool. And so I thought it was great of New Heights. I thought they handled her and her fame, and the Jason's question asking was brilliant. I thought he was very, very good at what he does, which we know that, which he's a media guy and he's done the podcast and all that stuff. And it was great. They did a really good job. And Travis and Taylor, anyone who thinks that that is just a media ploy or a setup or whatever all the stupid conspiracies are about their fake, relationship, all you got to do is watch this 2 hours, and I mean, they're perfect for each other. It's great.
Yeah, it was great. And it was really cool to see her embrace the football fandom.
Yep.
Obviously, she was very excited when the Chiefs drafted Xavier Worthy. She learned a lot about the game of football in a very short period of time, and she's obviously an extremely smart person and interested in learning about the world. And you know what? I made this observation on Twitter, but I think it's worth making on the podcast as well. Uh, so is Travis. I know that the criticism of Travis from I both Swifties, although not as much anymore, and certainly certain sub factions, is that Travis is just, he's a dumb football guy. And
Mm-hmm.
like Travis is bad at reading, but like Travis is a smart guy. And
Mm-hmm.
Travis is more than that. He's an intellectually curious guy. And I think that came across in the podcast in a big way.
Agreed.
In maybe in a surprising way to a lot of people that it just cracked me up when she was going through the song titles and he kept asking Jason, like,
No.
do you know about the
Uh-huh.
fate of Ophelia? Do you know about
Uh-huh.
Elizabeth Taylor? Do you know about Opalite? Uh, that's just a guy that has had those facts shared with him by his
Yes.
girlfriend, and he's excited to share those facts with other people. And I think that is the most relatable Travis Kelsey has ever been to me personally.
Yep. Yep.
So it was
She
really an incredible interview in so many ways.
she brings it out in it. Like, it's the intellectual curiosity is something that if he were, not as head over heels, just completely enamored with her, that I don't know if he would be as comfortable or at least as open with some of these aspects of his life. He certainly wouldn't be singing pop star songs that a girl sings on, like that kind of just freedom that he has to just express his feelings for her in such a true and honest way. It's just really nice to see them both so relaxed and happy. And it's really cool. And anybody that's out there trying to hate or trying to make it something it's not, you just got to give it up, man. You got to give it up. Like, you got to give it up. The refs are in for on the Chiefs. You've got to just let go, because it's not what you think it is.
We probably should save a discussion of the album and the nature of what it's going to be until
Till it comes
friend of the
out.
show, Randy. I was going to say until friend of
Oh,
the show, Randy Chisarelli is on here to discuss it with us. We could
they'll be
make
around
that
the same
like
time, probably.
yeah, it will be. It'll be about a month before it comes out
You know,
10-3. Randy's going to be on before week 1, so we'll speculate a little bit with him. That may happen off the air. It may be included in the podcast. Who knows? But in any
yeah,
case, it will be fun. If you haven't watched it, do watch it. It was very funny. Even if you're just a fan of Travis and Jason,
of course, which you should
they
be
were, which you
regardless.
should be, obviously. They were hilarious. The whole podcast was very funny. I mean, the idea of Travis wanting to adopt an otter that he rescues
Yep.
from danger, it just, just very specific weird shit that they're both into. Just strange people that are incredibly brilliant and great at what they do, in a totally comfortable, natural environment, just talking for 2 hours. It was something else, man. It was very cool. Let's talk about preseason week 1, transitioning to something that doesn't matter at all from something
Mhm.
that matters a great deal to a great number of people. But of course, these games don't count in the standings, but they do count in terms of what we're going to see in week 1. They're interesting. The Chiefs jumped out to an early 14-3 lead in this one before surrendering 2 touchdowns in the last 3:18 before the first half to Jacoby Brissett. And then they traded field goals in the second half for a 17-20 loss to the Cardinals in Arizona. I know you had an opportunity to watch this game live. It was
Mhm.
RPG night for me, so I did not watch it live. I was able to catch up on that later on. But I know you watched it live. I know you complained about the
Oh,
length of the game as it was dragging into the second half. But
I,
I wanted to get your thoughts, someone who was in market, soaking it up as it was
yeah.
happening. Hit me.
So the complaint that I put on Twitter was I cannot believe this game is not already 8 hours long or whatever when there was 5 minutes left in the second quarter. And that just felt the pace of a preseason game is just so much like the last time I was watching the Chiefs play, it was, as we all remember, it was a lot different of stakes and scenario, and everything was amplified and every play mattered and every, you know, all the stuff that goes with it. This just felt, I mean, I know it was the first preseason game, but I think one of the reasons that I felt the shortened kind of, or the attention span being so weird, was that the first team offense got 2 snaps. And
Right.
because of that, you do kind of feel like right away it started off as backups, and right away that kind of pulls some of the air out. It was funny for the Chiefs to start off with a turnover on the very first play of the season. The special teams, when Chris Roland Wallace recovered a fumble on the kickoff. That was funny. But they're at the 13-yard line. 13, man, it's just everywhere these days.
It's everywhere. Triskaideka, Fenia.
Yeah, right. And so, they start off, and Pacheco takes a handoff and he gets him down to the 5 right away. And that was a really nice sign for a guy that I personally am kind of down on just from hype. I obviously he's a cool dude and I'm rooting for him, but like I don't really expect a lot out of Isaiah Pacheco this year. I don't really see it
Sure.
anymore. And so if he does it, if he looks like a starting NFL running back, I will be thrilled, but I just don't really think that's going to happen. But he takes it down to the 5-yard line, and then Mahomes sees Thornton in the end zone, but he gets draped all over him by the defender, and so they get a pass interference down to the 1-yard line on the second play. And then the play of the game, for sure, or certainly on offense, was Jason Brownlee on a 1-yard fade ball from Mahomes on first and goal at the 1, and just absolutely stretching as far as Brownlee can stretch and pulling it in and getting the Chiefs on the board on Pat's first official pass of the game, a 1-yard touchdown pass. And I was obviously fired up at this point. It was like, okay, offense. I actually was saying that because the drive was so short, a 13-yard drive, that I was like, oh, well, there's a pretty good chance that when the second drive starts, the
Sure.
offense is going to stay out there.
Yeah,
It was
it'll
only
come
two
back out.
plays. It didn't really feel like that was something that if they're going to play in the game, you would think they would want to see more than 2 plays out of them. But I guess that was like perfect for Andy, because after the Cardinals drove down the field, they did good. They worked it down to the 17-yard line, but then Kyler threw an absolutely awful ball that, I mean, I guess the play-by-play said it was intended for Marvin Harrison. I didn't even see anyone other than Jaden Hicks in the area. He just looked like
Right.
he passed it
Yeah.
to him. I actually thought that maybe he got the jersey swapped and thought his guy was running free
Sure.
and just threw it to him. But then, so Hicks takes over there, and I'm all like, okay, so we'll see the offense one more time, and then I can disengage with this game more. And Gardner Minshew comes out, and the second string, and then I was just kind of like, oh, okay, we got 2 plays after all the wait from all year, and now
Right.
we're already in the backups. And so, that was my mindset. It was just kind of disappointment that we only got 2 plays out of them. Yeah. From there on out, it's kind of like watching a practice. I watched it. You can't really take a lot away from after the first string, other than like individual guys being like, oh, they like this guy because they're playing him at this
Right.
point, which we'll talk
Right.
about. But the performance of the game, the fact that the Chiefs lost, or the fact that guys, whatever numbers you saw out of the game or whatever, none of that matters in the preseason at all. Playing time matters, and the first string matters. Those 2 things matter. I would like to see the first string perform well, and I would like guys that I want to see play on the team to have good playing time. Other than that, yeah, it was a game. It was a slow moving game. I hate that field. I'm glad nobody got hurt on that field.
Yeah.
But we also won a Super Bowl on that field, so that was nice to kind of relive that as well. Those were my
Reminisce.
thoughts. Yeah.
Let's talk about playing time, because Anthony Reinhard at Reinhard NFL, REINHARD NFL on X, put out this incredible infographic, and you guys need to go check it out, just because, I mean, we're going to use it, but it's like the most perfectly conceived, beautiful infographic I've ever seen for the exact purpose that we need it for, which is talking about a preseason NFL game. So this is sort of visualized both snap counts and when the players entered the game. So we're going to use that information to sort of discuss some of the surprises that came out of this game in terms of playing time and performance. And I mean, the first guy that sticks out to me is Jason Brownlee, who
Yeah.
was in on the second snap of the game for the offense and caught the touchdown, and then didn't play at all on the second drive of the game. He comes back in for the third and fourth drives, and then he doesn't see any playing time at all after halftime, which is a little bit surprising because Niho Remigio, and some of these other guys that we talk about at the bottom end of the roster, they all played in the second half. Now, Marquise or Hollywood didn't play at all in this game.
Yeah.
Rasheed Rice didn't play at all in this game. Juju played 2 snaps. Xavier Worthy played 4 snaps. So, most of the first half after that first drive was Tyquan Thornton, Jason Brownlee, and Jalen Royals, and another player who shall remain nameless. But Brownlee being in on the second play of the game, being the it seems like maybe who the play was designed for. I mean, it's a fade,
Yeah.
so like
Right.
I mean, you're usually not reading, the defense on a fade. You're throwing it to that guy, and then making the play for the touchdown, and then not playing in the second half. Those are all suggestive of a player who has like a very real chance to make the roster. And this is the first time that I feel like we've said Jason Brownlee's name on this podcast. So
Certainly the first time I remember. Yeah.
Jason Brownlee, former undrafted free agent with the Jets, spent a little bit of time with them last year, caught a few passes. I think he has maybe 1 NFL touchdown from Mike White or whoever was playing quarterback for the Jets last year. Southern Mississippi came out 2 years ago.
This was Rodgers.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. But I don't think that part was with Rodgers. I think that was after they benched Rodgers. His touchdown. It was late in the year.
Gotcha.
The guy has a relative athletic score of 8.92, which makes him an 89th percentile wide receiver. And a lot of that is explosion. His vertical and his broad are both elite, a 94th percentile vertical and a 97th percentile rounding up broad jump on full display on the touchdown. As you said, I mean, going up full extension,
6'2".
great body control. Exactly. And so this is a guy that has good size, incredible explosion, not incredible straight line speed. I mean, he ran almost a 4.6 40, which is not incredible, but his 10-yard and his 20-yard splits were both well above average. I mean, 80th percentile for his 10-yard split, so that short area quickness. I mean, all of his best traits, his 3 best traits, vertical, broad, 10-yard split, all on display on that play. And the playing time, again, just was very surprising to me.
Completely agree. It was as out of the blue of a roster decision that I can remember in the last couple of years. Not to say that, I mean, I haven't been watching everything, at camp and all that stuff. I mean, as closely as other people, reporters and stuff have. I just thought that I knew about how the wide receiver rotation would go. I kind of had an idea in my brain about, it'll probably be this guy, and then it'll probably be this guy. And then when he threw it, I was like, oh, who caught that? Jason Brownlee on the second pass of the game. I mean, yeah, it was certainly surprising. I would like to indulge my ADD for 1 second about Jason Brownlee's 1 career touchdown. It was in 2023, so not last year, the year before.
Gotcha.
It was on the Jets. It was during the year that Rodgers was hurt. It was by a player that's a former starting quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, I know who it is.
Do you? Because I was going to say,
I know who it is.
Okay.
I remember who it is. It's Tim Boyle.
It's not Tim Boyle. I love Tim
what?
Boyle.
No, it's not Tim Boyle.
No, it's not Tim Boyle. We should have gone in the Tim Boyle
Tim
route.
Boyle did play for the Jets that year, right?
I think everyone played for the Jets that year. Yeah.
Tim Boyle was obviously very famously lampooned on like the 3rd episode of this podcast way back when. I mean, we spent probably 10 to 12 minutes absolutely crushing Tim Boyle.
He has one of the worst college careers of all time. Anyone should just go Google Tim Boyle. There were 4 starting quarterbacks for the Jets that year. Started with Aaron Rodgers, of course. We remember how that went, 4 snaps into the game. And then Zach Wilson came in for him, and he went 4-7, and he was trying his best, but it didn't work out. Then they brought in Tim Boyle for 2 starts, and he went 0-2. So you were right on there. You knew who, except the guy that finished the year was former Broncos starting quarterback,
Trevor Siemian?
Yes, there you go. I was going to give you some
Nailed
more
it.
clues. I
No,
was going to say he's slightly taller than Jason Brownlee because he is. He's 6'3".
that
But
would have been a
yes,
great clue. I definitely would have gotten it.
yeah,
If I didn't know who it was,
yes,
that would have been the
yes,
one that tipped it over.
correct. So Trevor Siemian threw Jason Brownlee an 8-yard
Okay. All
touchdown
right.
in 2026 or sorry 2023 Christmas Eve, so late in the year. Anyways, that was ADD. But we're going to go back to just the roster surprises
The
and
concept of Jason Brownlee.
the concept of Jason Brownlee is really cool. It's like it's the same concept, honestly, that we've had for some other guys that haven't worked out. It's similar to the DeAndre Hopkins concept or the Justin Ross concept, as in an X receiver. The Chiefs
Sure.
need a freaking X receiver, and
Yeah.
Rice isn't it, and Worthy isn't it, and Brown isn't it, and Juju isn't it, and they need a guy that can
A
win
jump
a
ball
jump
guy.
ball. They need a
Yeah.
jump ball guy. They just have always needed. And Sammy was great at that. I mean, that was a cool feature of Sammy was he was an X receiver and he was an outside threat, and you could throw him a go ball, and he could jump up and get it, and that's just an element that the Chiefs haven't had. And so when you try and fit the puzzle pieces and you try and just say, well, who's the tallest guy that we have on the roster right now? I think it's Jason Brownlee at 6'2", as
Sure.
far as receivers. I don't
Right,
believe
probably.
any other receiver profiles higher than him. Certainly not any of the guys. I don't know off the top of my head how tall Mac Delana and Jimmy Holiday and those guys are, but I can't imagine any of them are taller than 6'2". So the Chiefs just kind of said, we're on the goal line on the second. I don't know if Jason Brownlee would have gotten in if the second play wasn't at the 1-yard line. I
Sure.
think they said we're going to, because he gets in there for Worthy. And so I think they just decided like, well, let's run this jump ball play and see how it goes. So he's fun. And if he does make the roster, he kind of doesn't seem like a player that would make the roster just to sit there on the end of the bench. He
Sure.
seems like a
I
guy
mean,
that they would want to get in there.
they put him in for a red zone play from the 1-yard line on the second play of the game. I mean, like
with the first team offense and with
the first team offense, exactly.
Yeah.
Like there clearly was. I mean, they clearly talked about that before the game. Like that was clearly they do very limited game planning for these games, but they obviously they want to put players as much as they can in the kinds of game situations that they would expect them to be used in if they're going to make the team.
Certainly.
And it certainly seems significant that he is in the game on the second play of the game when they're at the 1-yard line. And you're right. I mean, he potentially carries a skill set that's different from any other wide receiver on the roster. It's going to be really interesting to see what we see from him in preseason game 2. If I'm sure we will see him in preseason game 2, but it'll be interesting to see what we see from him. Another thing that surprised me from this game, sticking on the offensive side of the ball, the fifth running back out of 6 to enter this game and not until the second half was Brashard Smith.
Yeah.
And I feel like an idiot because here I was just last week predicting that he was like a lock to make the roster. And a guy that's a lock to make the roster does not enter the game as RB5 in the second half.
No.
And he
didn't play in the fourth quarter.
He didn't play that well either when he was out here. And I'm a little bit surprised because he had one target. It got blown up. He tried to make something happen with it. He ended up with a 6-yard loss on his sole target, 4 carries for 10 yards. I mean, like the vision that we have all seen in training camp is a guy that, is a former wide receiver that is going to be used in Jerick McKinnon role, right? Like it's Jerick McKinnon. That's his path to making the roster. That's how he potentially excels. I've seen a lot of, national film guys that are very high or were very high on Brashard's fit in this offense. And we just didn't see it at all. And not only did we not see it at all, the Chiefs put him in as RB5. He came in after Carson Steele. And, we talked about the running back situation last week. Pacheco is a lock. And beyond that, Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, Carson Steele, I don't know that any of those guys are necessarily locks. They have different levels of emotional and draft capital investment in all those guys. Brashard Smith was a 7th-round pick, but he is a guy you drafted. And he is a guy who has flashed in training camp. So just was very surprised by his performance.
I agree. I do think it's maybe a little notable that they did get they got work out of Elijah Mitchell. And, I was kind of wondering between his just his history, his injury history, and just kind of how how careful they would want to be with him. Not necessarily that he could play. I figured he, if they wanted to suit him up, they could. But I figured the Chiefs would maybe be using some kid gloves with him a little bit. And, they got him out there. He also, he had 3 carries for 10 yards as opposed to Brashard Smith's 4. So just the box score numbers on the ground wasn't great. But I did think that a couple of the times I saw him run, I was kind of like, okay, like, he looks fine. He looks like a guy that you could at least give a NFL carry to. But yeah, they went to Carson Steele as a feature back, as a lead back, instead of him getting in there as a fullback. And some of that's just because they had to rotate these guys through or whatever. So I mean, designed for Carson Steele, I don't know if it means that much that he was a halfback in his carries instead of a fullback.
Right.
But what does matter is that he got a shot before Brashard Smith. And that's interesting to me because I thought Carson Steele was just kind of a relic of last year when it was kind of a cool story, but then he fumbled all the time. And then I kind of just thought that like, oh,
Yeah,
well,
he's a pet
then
alligator and
yeah,
he's white.
he seems like a cool dude. It's just not, I didn't think he was like a actual roster, much of a threat to make the roster, basically, is how I've been viewing him. And if he's the 4th running back before Brashard Smith, that doesn't really bode super well. Although you do have to remember when Smith was in the second half, you're also dealing with second half offensive line, second half
that's true.
quarterbacks, and the quarterback play we'll talk about, but was certainly below
Yeah.
below standard out of the Chiefs there. So, I guess we'll give Brashard Smith an incomplete so far for this game, but it's a little concerning from the skill position perspective. We talked about Brownlee, which was really a cool story and surprising in a positive way, and then Brashard Smith, who was not good and certainly surprising in a negative.
Yeah, surprising in a bad way for sure. Flipping over the defensive side, there weren't as many surprises, I don't feel like, on the defensive side of the ball, but one
Sure.
that stuck out to me a little bit was Felix Anudike-Uzomah, FAU, who came in as the edge 5 behind Ashton Gillotte. He came in a
Yep.
full series after Gillotte. Gillotte came in on the second series. FAU didn't get in until the third series. And then FAU was playing deep. I mean, he played into, almost to the second to last series on defense in the game.
Mhm.
So, I mean, most of the second half, he had the most snaps of any edge player in this game, 36 snaps in this game. I mean, he actually had more snaps than any player on the defense in this game.
Right.
And that's
Any
usually
player in the
not
game.
good when you are playing in a preseason game. If you're
Right.
playing a lot of snaps, that's because they don't know what they have in you or they know what they have in you and they don't think you're going to make the roster and you're out there to take hits and just grind minutes
Or
and
showcase him for a potential trade.
sure, right. But this is a guy that was a first round pick 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing. I mean, Gillotte, obviously a guy that people are excited about that's had some camp buzz, but FAU got a little bit of pop in camp too. And it feels like
watch out for that camp pop, buddy.
Yeah, it certainly is not. I mean, like he's obviously a wild bust at this point for where he was drafted.
Yeah.
But there definitely have been, I mean, even when they drafted him and even knowing that, local kid drafts in Kansas City, whatever, that he was a very young player for a first round pick and might need some time to develop. Well, I mean, now it's year 3 and
Yeah.
he needs to be developed at this point, right? Like he needs to be developed and the playing time and his spot in the pecking order would suggest that he's not where he needs to be.
No, he's not. And I think it's about, I mean, I know there's a lot of support for him, not only from the K-State Chiefs fans, but just in general, you don't want your first round pick to become a guy that you're wondering if he's going to make the roster in 2 years. I mean, that's a steep drop off. But that's the reality. The reality is that Felix has not developed the way that the Chiefs hoped he would. And edge is an important position. It's not really one that you can slow play. It's not really one that you can baby a guy. If he's not getting the job done, and especially at his young physical peak of the, athletically, if you're not getting the job done when you're 23 as an edge rusher, like you're probably not going to do it. It's
Right.
probably not going to happen. You don't really late bloom as an edge rusher, at least not often. And so, yeah, I'm concerned. I wouldn't. I guess at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't make it, or at least
Yeah.
if he's so down on the depth chart that
He
you
gets
know
traded.
that he gets traded, or that next year then he wouldn't make it because this year he's the fringe 50 whatever guy on the roster. I mean, he's not long for this roster and maybe this league, which is I he's still young. I hate to say that, but like he just hasn't he hasn't shown it. So I hope he does soon.
One more guy on the defense that kind of stood out to me, a guy that we talked about last week, is certainly a potential to make the roster. Linebacker room is pretty crowded, but Jeffrey Bassa entered this game as linebacker 7,
Yeah,
which was surprising.
didn't know he had 7 on the roster. I
Yeah,
mean,
he came in behind Cochran, Cam Jones, and Cole Christensen,
yeah,
and ahead of only Brandon George. Now, I will point out that even though we had 7, now I say linebacker 7, that's counting Drew Tranquil, who didn't play. So
correct.
5 linebackers who came into the game ahead of him in this game, and Tranquil didn't play because he's been a little banged up. I mean, he doesn't need the
No,
reps, and yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But behind Cochran, Jones, and Christensen is a little bit surprising. I will note that all of those guys came into the game. Cochran actually came in on the first drive, but those are the 2 guys, Jones and Christensen, along with Bassa, came in on the second series for the defense.
Mhm.
So they got into the game around the same time. But then Jeffrey Bassa finished the game. And this
Yeah,
is a really weird, I mean, like,
yeah,
when you're looking at this chart and the dots and everything, and if you've watched enough NFL preseason football, as we both have, this visualization is bizarre. It's very strange. All of those other guys played like a handful of snaps right after half, and Jeffrey Bassa played all the way through the fourth quarter. He played
hmm
every snap on the last 3 series of the game for the defense,
hmm
which is weird. Like I don't, he's coming in on the second series, which is great, and then he's finishing the game, which is bad. Like I just don't know where he stands. And the couple of plays that I noticed him out there, he looked like he showed some ability. He showed
sure.
some speed and some hitting ability, but like I don't know, that's a weird one.
I will say that if there's ever going to be a player profile of someone that you do want to see extended look at during a game, rookie is a great first check mark. Like if there's a rookie, you've seen him in camp, but you really haven't seen him hitting guys very
Yeah,
often. And
it's true.
so giving an extended look to a guy that you've literally never seen play professional football makes sense. It's different than FAU. FAU they've seen for a
Yeah,
full,
right.
a long time, and he shouldn't be playing all the time. But like Bassa getting a lot of run here. I mean, it's maybe it was a conditioning thing. Maybe he said, "Hey, I've been, I want to see if I can push myself through 3 quarters of a game, and I want to
Right.
see how
Sure.
that feels and how that, I mean, that it could have been his request to get a lot of playing time. Who knows? I don't know how the politics work about that, but I do think that, that he was a 5th round pick, which is kind of that like
Yeah.
it's not late enough to be an easy scratch. Like if it's a 7th round pick or even a 6th round pick and they don't make the roster,
Right.
nobody really bats an eye. That's kind of like, well, he was a late round guy. But like if you're a 4th round or above, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe he couldn't even make the roster. He was a a top 4 round guy. 5th round is kind of like, I don't know. Like if he doesn't make it, are you really that surprised or whatever? So I do think he's kind of in that realm of like, I mean, his job could be on the line when they on cut down day. I don't think it is. It feels like the way they've talked about him and everything. They traded back with the Eagles and got a free pick and then picked Jeffrey Basso with that. So I would feel like for them to just not let him make the 53 after that would be a little wasteful. But we'll see how. I do think though that this is the first game, and if we see the same patterns continue in these next couple games, we'll be able to learn a lot more than what we know so far.
You make an interesting point about the kind of player that he is. And to add to the fact that he's a rookie, he's also a linebacker. And
Yep.
actually, it would make a lot of sense. I'm not saying this is how the Chiefs feel because I haven't talked to anybody in the organization about this, but it would like make a lot of sense if their organizational philosophy was, I mean, a rookie linebacker, we want to see as many live reps against a team that is not
Yeah.
ours and that he doesn't know what they're doing
Yeah.
as possible in the
Right.
preseason. Because when you're in camp, I mean, I know obviously they structure, practices differently, but a lot of times the defense has some idea of what the offense is going to do and vice versa. And the hardest thing for a rookie linebacker in the NFL to do is diagnose what's happening with play and play fast.
Mhm.
And everything in the modern NFL is geared towards tricking linebackers. And so, in a way, even though the preseason is obviously the playbooks are very dumbed down, he's playing in the fourth quarter against, guys that aren't super likely to make the
Mhm.
roster. It makes sense that you would want to get some tape with him, just firing live rounds in
Yep.
a game where he doesn't know at all. He doesn't have any inkling what the opposing offense is going to be doing. And so I don't know, that could be part of it.
Linebackers are the
Cole,
quarterback of the defense, and so if
yeah,
you had a rookie quarterback that you were curious about, I mean, you would probably want to see a lot of reps from him in the preseason.
right.
And so linebacker, that does kind of make some sense. They've got the calls they've got to figure out, even if they're dumb. Like it's almost better that they're dumb in the preseason because it's like, okay, let's give him the 101 of being an NFL
Yeah,
linebacker and see
sure.
how he does, and then we can ramp up from there.
Fool him once and then
Yeah,
he won't get fooled again.
that's right.
So,
Yep. Yep.
let's talk very briefly, since we have not mentioned his name yet on this podcast, about Josh Simmons.
Yeah.
Josh
Future Hall of
Simmons
Famer.
played exactly the snaps that we expected him to play. He was in on the first drive, he was in on the second drive, and then he was out of the game. He played 10 snaps. He was in with Kingsley Suamataia for all of those snaps, and Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, the rest of the starting offensive line. Jawan Taylor actually got 2 snaps there, and then was replaced by Jalen Moore. But Josh Simmons, he got I think it was a 65 grade from PFF. Depending on who you asked, he either played incredibly well or, average. I don't think anybody was saying that he necessarily played badly, but just, we obviously both picked him as a guy that we were very excited to watch. And, I don't have a lot to say about his performance other than, yeah, I guess that's good. Like he certainly didn't get beat a lot, right?
Mhm.
So here we are.
Yeah, still early on in the process, still coming back from a knee injury. I know he didn't miss a single snap during camp, and that's all great. But I think you really do have to kind of get some live reps just to get hit and just to kind of go against a person that's not George Karlaftis or Chris Jones or someone on the Chiefs. And so the Chiefs haven't had joint practice, so which is great. But that also means that this is the first guys a lot of these young guys have gone against other than Chiefs. So,
Right.
yeah, I don't take a ton away from PFF in general, and certainly the grade here, I'd be pretty fired up, I guess, if they gave him like a 98 or whatever. But seeing that they
Sure.
got a 65, nah, whatever. That's just Rook's just getting his feet wet. We'll see. Really won't matter until Brazil.
Yeah, and PFF, you know, what I find to be really frustrating and difficult, I guess, at the core of PFF grades is that the neutral grade and a 65 is kind of like a neutral-ish grade, even though on a 100-point scale, that's obviously,
Yeah,
I mean, that would be a D. That's not very
yeah,
good.
right.
Passing grade, but barely. A 65 is sort of like an average performance, but a lot of that, they interject degree of difficulty into these plays, and if you're doing normal stuff that everybody's supposed to be able to do and you're doing it perfectly adequately, like that means you're an average player and you're going to get an average grade. And so there wasn't really anything in this game that he did badly. There wasn't anything that he did that was necessarily exceptional, but he did what he needed to do. And frankly, if that's what he does all year, that will be the best left tackle the Chiefs have had since Eric Fisher, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure. Sounds amazing to
it
me.
does sound amazing. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. Andy Reid was asked about him after the game, said, I wasn't screaming at him, so I figure he did okay. He looked like he had a solid day, especially for his first game. He's been working his tail off. So, I mean, Andy's fine with it. I'm fine with it. It would have been cool it's sort of like in the Matrix where, Neo's gonna make the jump and they're like, nobody ever makes it the first jump. And then they're
Hmm.
like, okay, yeah, but what if he does?
Hmm.
And, then he didn't like fall, he didn't
Yeah.
like crash. So it's not a perfect analogy. The point is he didn't go out and pancake a guy on every play, but he also didn't give up any pressures and it didn't, you know, let the quarterback get touched. So, I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's certainly passable for your first preseason game as a rookie. Yeah.
Let's do really quickly awards because I want us to get back into the habit of doing awards. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome, Swifties. We appreciate you. We're releasing this on Friday. We're recording on Thursday, so we do not compete at all with the podcast event of our lifetimes until the next time she's on the podcast. Because I should probably be back. Uh, for those of you who are unfamiliar with our format, we have three types of awards. We have our 5-star men, self-explanatory, very good players. We have our trash men.
I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage.
Who are eating garbage all over the field, and we have our wild cards.
Wild card, bitches! Yeah!
Who are players who are capable of anything. And we do not have to say a lot about each of these guys, but I want us to get back in the habit. It's preseason for us too. I'll kick us off for our 5-star men, and I'm going to pick Jaden Hicks, obviously a second-year player for the Chiefs. Excited to see his development. You mentioned the play. Kyler Murray threw it straight to him, so I don't know if he did anything to fool Kyler Murray or Kyler Murray just fooled himself. But, when he was out there, he brought a lot of energy, and obviously the Chiefs are going through transition in their secondary with Justin Reed leaving, and the Chiefs have had veteran leaders at safety pretty much for the entire Steve Spagnuolo era.
Hmm.
You had Tyrann Mathieu, you went straight from Tyrann to Justin Reed, and now they are turning it over to Jaden Hicks and Brian Cook, and it's a youth movement. And it's good to see those guys bring the energy and have a good game, which he did. So 5-star man for Jaden Hicks.
Yeah, completely agreed. He led the team in interceptions last year as a rookie. It was only three, but the Chiefs didn't pick off the ball a ton, and he showed ball skills. And this one was a lot easier than a lot of probably the easiest pick he'll ever have in his life. It was literally just thrown right to him. But good to see him come down with that. I agree with you for sure. I'm just gonna keep it easy, keep it simple. 1 for 1, 1 yard, 1 touchdown. Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He played football again. And anytime he plays football, that's a important day in my life. And this was no different. It was fun to watch 15 get out there and lead a quick and efficient 13-yard offensive touchdown drive in 3 plays, and that was cool. So yeah, shout out to Pat, 5-star man, first of the season, and certainly won't be the last.
For Trashman, why don't you give me yours first, and then I'll circle back around.
So we've already mentioned this player, and this is something that it's more about. I mean, he was a guy that I was excited to see play in this game that I named as a player that I was really looking forward to watching, and that's Brashard Smith, and that's just more about opportunity lost or opportunity not really captured. 4 carries for 10 yards, 1 catch for the -6 yards. So he didn't do anything productive in the box score. And I know that's not everything. And I know that in this preseason game, it's more than just if you break off one nice run or something. But he just didn't quite look like a guy that I was thinking could help the Chiefs offense in 2025 the way that I had been envisioning him all throughout camp and all throughout kind of as soon as they picked him up, and it was like, oh, receiving back, converted wide receiver, Pat's hitting him on streaks down the seam and stuff. Like there was some sexiness to Brashard Smith on the offense, and anytime that type of player is promised, or not promised, but potential, and then you want to see it. You want to see it. You want to see it happen in the preseason. You want to, and maybe still might. I'm not saying Brashard Smith is cooked, but it wasn't a great start for him. It wasn't a great way to dent the roster. We'll see how he takes advantage of the next 2 games.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. I'll award my trash man to a player that I wasn't excited to see, and probably will not make the roster. He may be,
He will.
the taxi squad backup quarterback, but that's Bailey Zappi. And I get that he's QB3 behind Pat and Minshew, but the guy has started 9 NFL games and he's 4-5, by the way, with like a bad Patriots team and a bad Browns team that he picked those wins up. And he's playing against guys that have not had that kind of experience. And he looked terrible. I mean, 2 interceptions, 4 yards per attempt. He wasn't driving the ball down the field and he wasn't keeping the ball safe. So if you're not driving the ball down the field and you're not keeping the ball safe, what are you doing?
What would you say you do here?
Yeah, not good. So trash man for Bailey Zappi. I'll turn around and give us the wild card, and then I'll let you close this out. It's Jason Brownlee. And I mean, again, for a guy to make his first mention on our podcast when he catches a touchdown on the third play of preseason, the first preseason game, and he's specifically brought in for goal line play, and he's the target.
And it was a hell of a catch.
It was a hell of a catch. And I mean, this is also, I mean, to be clear, the guys that are competing with, I mean, he was an undrafted free agent 2 years ago. The guys around him in terms of playing time and potential to make the roster, Tyquan Thornton was a second-round pick. Jalen Royals was a 4th-round pick and probably should have been taken higher than that. I mean, another guy that was taken the pick after Tyquan Thornton, or 2 picks after Tyquan Thornton, who we have decided for comedic purposes not to name ever again on the podcast. He was a 2nd-round pick. Niha Remigio was also an undrafted free agent. But I mean, like, these are the guys that he's competing with, and guys with pretty high draft capital and pedigree. And it's Jason Brownlee on, the first goal line target of this new 2025 season that's earning the target and making a hell of a play for touchdown. That's real wild card behavior. Sometimes the wild card is up and down, and sometimes it literally is just
surprise,
somebody coming out of nowhere and cutting the brakes, which is what Jason Brownlee did.
I completely agree. Love Jason Brownlee as the wild card there. I'm going to go with a guy that was responsible for 2 takeaways on defense, and that's Chris Roland Wallace. Recovered the opening kick for the fumble recovery, and then later on had an interception. And he wasn't out there a ton, but I mean, I remember the first time I was kind of made aware of Chris Roland Wallace's presence. Do you remember what game it was that I was like, oh, he's like a dude?
I don't.
At San Francisco. When the Chiefs went to San Francisco and he picked off Brock Purdy, and I was just like, oh, that was a really nice play. I forgot we had this guy in the secondary. He was kind of I think they were dealing with maybe some corner injury situations and stuff. But anyways, he is interesting, and he's a guy that he's not really talked about as anybody that anybody's expecting to do, carry a lot of weight for the Chiefs defense, but he's probably going to make the 53-man roster. He's certainly one of the conversations for a DB back into the DB room, and he was nice. He had a nice day. Let's see if he can keep stacking them.
I love that. Well, let's talk briefly about the game the Chiefs are going to play tomorrow night, Friday night, in Seattle at the Seahawks. This would normally be the regular season dress rehearsal. Obviously, when there were 4 preseason games, the Chiefs had a very well-established policy under Andy Reid that they were going to play the starters into the second half in the 3rd preseason game, and then everyone that was a lock for the roster that could sit would sit in the 4th preseason game. They dropped it down to 3 games. Game 2 became that game for the Chiefs, where they were going to get some extended run from the starters. But Andy Reid says there's a good chance Patrick Mahomes is not going to play at all in this game, which is frankly a little bit shocking to me, just because this is Andy Reid we're talking about. This is not a new coach who's new to the NFL. He is probably, I mean, at this point he is the longest tenured active coach in the NFL now that Belichick isn't coaching. And he certainly is one of the longest tenured coaches with a single team, and he has always done things the same way every year, every time. And Patrick Mahomes has always played in the regular season dress rehearsal at least into the second quarter. He'll always say they'll play some in the second half, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but they're always playing the game, and they're getting some reps out there. for him to decide, and he was coy about it, unless I missed it. Like he didn't say why. He didn't say, "Oh, I decided to do things differently this year." He just said he's probably not going to play. And I'm like, all right, well, that's how you. That's different from how you've been doing it for 24 years. So that's a little
Yep.
bit. It's a little
Yep.
bit odd. What else? What other surprises is he going to spring on us? Like, are any of the starters going to play?
Yeah.
Like
If
I
he's
don't
holding
know.
Pat back, you would think that, I mean, all bets are off for anybody sitting. And that I would think that, maybe he's just going to take the first rotation out and just elongate the second rotation and just
Sure,
kind of give. I mean, first of all, Pat barely played in the first game, so we basically, the
right?
first
He
team
threw one
offense,
pass.
yeah, the first team offense was barely out there, and so with a veteran team like the Chiefs, you really don't need the first team a whole lot. You really don't need them to go out there, and they know the playbook. They were just in the fucking Super Bowl a couple weeks ago. I mean,
Right.
it was they're all very aware of what's going on, and I just think that maybe Andy, he's such a players coach. He could have also talked to them and just been like, "Does anybody really want to play this? I
Right.
know what you guys all have on the first string. I know everything that you're about. Does anybody really? Is anyone itching to get out there in Seattle on their field and maybe maybe tear something or whatever and go out
Right.
there even though your job is secure and there's no reason to?" And I'm sure the guys, if he did ask them, were probably like, "Hell no, I'm good, man. Let the
Right.
young guys play." And
Right.
so it's an evolution of his practices, but he hasn't always had. Now lately in Kansas City he has, but he hasn't always had this like extremely veteran laden, war veteran, been there, done that type of
Sure.
team
Pat's
that they
going to be
have.
30 this year.
Exactly. And the rest of the offense is battle tested. And those guys, he really doesn't have a lot of guys on that first string where he even is wondering. I mean, Josh Simmons is the guy, and I'm sure he's going to play. I'd be
I'm sure he will.
shocked if they didn't play Simmons. And outside of him, and I mean, I guess Kingsley, you probably want to see
Yeah,
him.
the starting offensive line will probably be up there
You
because
think
normally
you
they like
think
to play
Creed and
those as
Trey?
a,
I
I
guess,
mean, they
yeah,
like
they
to
like
play
to play
them
them
as a
together.
unit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
right.
You're right.
Because that's the guys they're going to play next to in week one. So,
But certainly position player
and they're probably
guys.
not going to be out there that long.
No, probably not that long. Probably no Trav. Probably no Juju. Probably no Pacheco. Um, I guess outside of them, everyone else is probably fair game to play. Hollywood won't play, of course. But yeah, I think that anyone who expects any of the main starting position players to play in this game, you're probably going to be disappointed. I don't think any
It
of them are suiting up.
it's just really it's strange, and it's a little bit strange too. I mean, obviously, Patrick Mahomes doesn't need the reps, and he doesn't need to show us anything, but the wide receiver battle is a pretty important one, and we just talked about, especially with Rasheed probably playing in week one, it's going to be competitive at the bottom of the roster, at the bottom of the wide receiver room. Those
Yeah.
guys are going to have to go battle it out with Gardner Minshew. Now, I guess they'll all have Gardner Minshew at their quarterback, so it's not like one of them's going to be at a disadvantage, but it is harder to get a good eval on your wide receivers when you've got the backup quarterback out there. So I don't know. It's a really interesting. I mean, I think what else is strange about it is that he just said it and didn't explain why it was happening and just led us to all
Mhm.
wildly speculate about, I mean, like, is Pat being punished? Is this like his, did he break curfew or something,
Man.
during training camp? Like, was he going out TPing people in St. Joe or whatever and he's grounded? Like, what's going on? Like, what's the deal?
I can't imagine Pat did anything other than exactly what he's supposed to do at all times.
I
He's
agree.
never done anything except for exactly what he's supposed to do at all times. Literally, we never talk about that.
No,
Pat is
I mean,
just
he's such a,
perfect. He's
yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
And like
he
not
is.
in like the he's perfect. Like he's literally perfect. And it's
Yeah,
crazy. So
yeah,
no, I think I think it was Pat's call. I think Andy
yeah,
probably said, "Do you want to play in this game?" And Pat goes, "Nah, man. I'm good, man. Like
yeah.
I got it figured out. I don't need to go out there and risk the season." And because
Yeah,
that's what you're
that's fair.
doing every
Yeah,
time you step
yeah,
on the football field. You are risking your season. And if you're fighting to be able to have the right to play a season, I get it for sure. Go bust your ass. But like any of those guys that have a job locked, why would they want to go out there and even touch another player? Like it just
yeah.
doesn't
That's
doesn't
fair.
make any sense. So
That's
I think this was all Pat's doing, and I am 100% on board.
completely, totally fair. from a preview standpoint, I mean, really the only thing to discuss here is whose stock needs to improve or whose stock do you want to improve from game one to game two? I mean, the guys that are on the fringe of the roster, who is it that you want to see elevate this week? Just give me a guy.
So we've talked about a lot of guys that would fit this. I'll go with Bassa. I think that I want to make sure, just from a draft capital perspective, I would like to see. I didn't think before this game that Bassa's position was in doubt, so I would like to see him elevate his game and secure a spot on the roster.
Yeah, I think that's fair. For me, it's Brashard Smith. I
Yeah.
I want to see it, and honestly, like if he doesn't make the team, they better be feeling really good about Elijah Mitchell, and
Yeah.
not just about his ability, but also about his health. Because
Yes,
we talked about it. I mean, like
they better
Brett-
not be calling a running back in October.
yes, exactly. Brett Veach said. I mean, Brett Veach compared Elijah Mitchell to Jerick McKinnon, and
Sure.
he made that comparison. And every talking head, every film guy, every pundit out there has compared Brashard Smith to Jerick McKinnon. And you don't need two Jerick McKinnons on the roster, but you
No.
better make sure that whichever guy you take is Jerick McKinnon and not an off injured 27-year-old running back that hasn't done a whole lot in the league, or a seventh round pick that didn't look very good in preseason game one. Like, you better make sure that you pick the right guy, or that you've made some contingency plans here, because this running back room is not very talented at the top, and it's also not that deep where
No.
I mean, and
This
it
could be
hasn't
the
been for
worst
years.
running back room in the NFL. And I mean,
we say that we've been saying that for probably the last 2 or 3 seasons. But
correct. And let's not forget too, Jerick McKinnon had injury issues. So if
He
you're
did.
if everyone's
Right.
saying he's the next Jerick McKinnon,
he was just a break
not
glass
even a-
until
yeah.
bring him out in December and let him cook.
Yes.
Into January and of course February. 2-time Super Bowl champion Jerick McKinnon. But yeah, for me it's Brashard Smith. I just want to see it. I mean, it would have to be from Gardner Minshew or someone on down the roster at this point. But just get him out in space and let him catch one of those bombs in this game, just for fun. I just want to see it. I want the Chiefs to be able to see it. I want him to make the team. I got invested. I bought some of the training camp hype, and now I'm bought in, and I'm going to be pretty. Yeah, I may have some Brashard Smith dynasty shares somewhere. I actually don't know. Do you know off the top of my head?
I one of us has him somewhere.
Okay,
I've seen his ownership between
him.
the two of us somewhere, but I don't
know. Got him stashed away somewhere. But
yeah.
We will see what happens tomorrow night in Seattle, preseason game 2. We'll be back next week to discuss those going-ons and look forward to the end preseason and start of the regular season coming up. Before you know it, it's always sunny, Chiefs Kingdom. See you all next time.